Welcome to our webinar series, Redefining Productivity with the Digital Workplace on Office 365. This is part 2 of our series, What is a Digital Workplace? I'm Daryl Trimble. I'm CEO of SP Marketplace, out-of-the-box workplace solutions on Office 365 and SharePoint that help you build that digital workplace. We started in 2012, and today we have over 1,000 customers worldwide using our products to drive productivity in their organizations. So what we're going to be really covering in this series is how you can move from a traditional IT model, grown organically, maybe by siloed departments, to more of a structured environment that's designed the way your employees work in what we're calling a digital workplace. So our series will be covering in the first part the introduction and the problem. That's part 1 of our series. Then, in this part, we'll be covering what is a digital workplace and how Office 365 can act as a digital workplace for your organization. Next, we'll talk about the business case and how to evolve your organization over time to a digital workplace. So, the first part of this webinar, we're going to cover what is a digital workplace. Digital workplace in the last really 12 months come out as a very much talked about new way to go about things for organizations with your IT infrastructure. So there's many different definitions as often happens with new terms out there. And so some of the things we see, and we're seeing the analyst firms like Gartner and Forrester and IDC, as well as individual experts and even vendors like Microsoft and IBM and others talk about what a digital workplace is. So let's take a look at a few different definitions. For some of them, it's just really an intranet plus some other connected system. Another is that it's a collection of digital tools that you provide your employees to do their jobs. Another is it just lives at the intersection of people, organization, and tools. It's kind of a very generic definition. It's a customized collection of technology and devices for people to do their jobs. It's a digital equivalent of the physical headquarters as the digital workplace. And a digital workplace is a deliberate approach to create an ecosystem to facilitate work. So all of these are kind of vague definitions. So we actually have come up with our own definition. And of course, since everybody else is making them, we're going to do that too. And we're trying to be pragmatic here and be very specific. So for us, the digital workplace is a central workspace that encompasses all technologies, information, collaboration, and processes that people use to get work done in a common user experience from anywhere, anytime, on any device. It's got to be a natural part of your staff or employees' way that they actually get work done. And it needs to fit in with how they work as well. So let's look at the highest kind of level. And all of these definitions were kind of alluding to this, but it really is the coming together of technology, all the different devices that you need to access your information and processes and so on as part of your job, whether you're on the road, at home, or wherever. And it could be a smartphone, it could be tablets, it could be your desktop. And it's about people and bringing together not only information on people, such as employee directories, but it's about collaboration with people. So discussions, chat, meetings, ability to actually organize and capture discussions in the context of a team approach as well. It's also about information and sharing information and getting dynamic information like news and events, or information, unstructured content such as documents, and also information such as business intelligence and reports and dashboards. And then finally, core to the whole process here of a digital workplace is the ability to mix it with the operational processes that run your business. Processes that employees interact with, back office processes, and even manual processes that are done every day. So the concept of bringing together all of this into one, which is really emphasized in almost all the definitions, is core to a digital workplace. The trick, though, is how do you bring all of this together in an easy, intuitive way that an employee could use it every day in their work to help them focus on their job and not on the task of looking for things, signing on to things, and everything else, which is in many cases what we have today with traditional IT infrastructure, or what we called in the last part of this series, organic IT, or IT that kind of just grew naturally all over the place and is a mess of different technologies. So there's also, with all the digital workplace analysis and education, there's also some high-level requirements that we find that are common that define a digital workplace. First of all, a digital workplace needs to have a master platform. This is really core to provide a set of functions and governance that establishes a consistent approach to how you're providing services and technology, along with the ability to set up and administer and govern how it's done, as well as how it's delivered. And if you're going to get anybody to use it, it's got to be a consistent, seamless user experience across all components. You can't have the employee access their email or track tasks and also go in and ask for time off or get news, all in different user interfaces. They just won't accept that, and you will find that there will be very little user adoption unless there is a consistent, seamless user experience across all components. It also needs to be put into some type of structure in the context of our work. You can't just throw a bunch of tools at them. So we really need to see it in the structure of, say, teams for collaboration and functional operations, such as your organization chart, say in departments or in different functional groups. It needs to be able to bring together all the different types of information, data. It needs to bring together structured data that you may have in applications or databases, and unstructured content, such as related documents to those media, videos, any type of unstructured content. It also needs to be able to deliver dynamically information that may relate to it, such as news, events, and alerts, and mix those with processes as the worker goes through their day and uses different systems. It needs to also be able to deliver cross-functional business intelligence or dashboards at all levels through a common user interface. So management at the top level needs to oversee what's going on and get that type of data, as well as at the department level and even at the functional staff level be able to get what they need for their role. So that needs to be delivered in the context of their role and responsibility in the organization. It needs to be able to drive collaboration and feedback and sharing in the context of groups and communities, as well as tying that to structured content, unstructured content, and giving feedback about that content. It needs to be able to provide a consistent way for an organization to provide internal services. This is one of the big problems with silos, is every operation has a different way of delivering their services. So it needs to deliver portals or service portals in a consistent way, almost like bank branches that employees can get services from different parts of the organization. And then finally, it needs to support technology to access anywhere, anytime, on any device. It needs to be something the employee can use without worrying about access. So now that we've talked about the high-level definition of a digital workplace, let's take a look at what makes up a digital workplace. What building blocks is there? So if we take a look at a digital workplace and break it down, we see that there's a structure and a set of components. At the core of a digital workplace is the workplace platform. Again, this is something that takes care of some of the core functions that you need in a digital workplace. Things like user and group management, security and permissions and governance, data, that being structured data, and the ability to store data and share data, managing content, whether it be a web page or site page, or whether it be documents and media, the ability to automate process through a common workflow capability, also collaboration tools at all levels, whether it be email, chat, meetings, and then connectivity in a consistent way to outside systems and connectivity to outside web services. And most importantly, as part of this is a common user experience off of this platform. So this is really the core to your success of a digital workplace, is to be able to manage at a single platform point as well as deliver user experience in a consistent way. Now, the next level of delivery that's needed is a set of tools. These are core tools that your employees will use. And you have many of these already, like Microsoft Office. So Office applications that help obviously in things like word processing, spreadsheets, presentations, and so we're all familiar with. Email and calendar that many of us use Outlook for, and being able to communicate via email. Things like online meetings, chat, conversations that are part of collaboration tools are needed as well. File sharing, such as document management and other things. Work management, where you get into tasks, projects, and workflows. Media management, managing different types of media out there, such as videos, audios, and other things. And then finally, the ability to discover and search for information easily in the workplace. These are all tools that are core to a workplace. And then next we have how it's actually accessed, in what kind of context is it accessed by the users. Well, users participate in groups and communities, so there may be group sites that they actually access it from. Also, where most employees actually operate is within the context of their organization, from a department, or they access services from different departments, operational portals. And then finally, as part of both of these, there's business applications. Some of these may be back office, but workplace business applications are actually built on this same platform and are generally employee-facing applications. So let's take a look at components of the digital workplace. I'm not going to go over each of these. Is a platform, services or tools, group sites, an intranet structure, which has operational portals and service portals, and then finally workplace applications. So we're going to step through and take a look at each of these components quickly. So first of all, at the core is this digital workplace platform. And it's the base platform upon which everything is built or integrated to. And it really has a core infrastructure of common elements used across the platform. Now, what this does is it really fills out all these different areas. This is also where you're going to save huge money on IT, because now you only have to, for instance, set up a new hire in one user ID and one set of groups, because it's shared. All of this is done across. If you go through an organization change with users and groups, you change it in one place and not across many different applications. If you're going to go in and share data or cross-reference documents with, say, an account or an employee, that can be done too, because there's common data structures, common document management, and there's content management. So this is really where you're going to get the lower cost of IT, because there's a central console for governance and administration of all applications, tools, and so on built on top of this platform. And then second, also things like going to new technologies like mobile device support will be much more consistent, because the platform really handles a lot of the way that mobile is provided, rather than having to worry about many different applications out there or tools and how they provide mobile support. Now, the second set of components for a digital workplace are tools. And again, these are the core tools that staff and employees use in their work every day. We're often familiar with Microsoft Office and the core Office applications and email and calendars. You may even be using different software tools or capabilities for online meetings, another one for chat and discussions. Also, things like document sharing and cloud storage of your documents and content. Work management, tracking tasks and projects, media storage, video management, even things like discovery and giving tools for search like hashtags and metadata. One of the big problems is these things often are all over the place, many different tools, many different platforms. So it's important also to have these set of tools on a common platform so that your employees can easily get to what they need. So the next area is kind of a destination type of component. So it's called group sites. And this is really where employees will operate to communicate as either a community or a team for collaboration. This might be for projects. It might be for sharing, like a sales team sharing competitive data and tips, and or it might be across different things, like a revenue idea team. It might be across marketing and sales and services. So this is really what we would call dynamic teams out there. We see a lot of attention to this in collaboration. And it's really set up so that you have a portal for this team or group where you can share things like announcements, a calendar of things, shared email and discussions. You might even be working on documents and files and other things that you're sharing together. Also, task tracking, if you're tracking projects. There may even be a need for external user access. The key thing here is these are generally peer-to-peer, and they're very dynamic in nature, so they may come and go as teams. The next one really component is core to putting it into the context of work. And many people work in some type of operational context in their organizations as part of a department or a functional unit as well. So such as division. And also, though, we also see different levels of this. And this is what we call an intranet structure. It's a website for internal constituents to the organization and consists generally of a top home page that's kind of the entrance point to the operation, a services type of portal for common services that all employees access, and then different department portals, which are, again, all of these called operational portals. Okay, let's talk a little bit more about operational portals. Now, an intranet structure obviously has a home page, but a major portion of an intranet structure is the operational portal. And it's really different than a group site or group portal because that tends to be for peer-to-peer groups. But an operational portal is more functional in nature. So it's organized around functional groups such as IT, HR, and so on. They're typically departments, could be branches or operational groups. And in each one of them, you really need two sides to it. There's what we call a staff portal that will have a home page. It will have dashboards. It will have sharing of documents and events, maybe sharing of knowledge in a knowledge base, as well as task tracking and the relevant business process applications that go along with that department. Also core to it, every one of them has a service request system. Now the service request system actually serves more of the service portal. So think of a service portal side of the operational portals here as the department's face to its customers. It's a place that employees, for instance, come to HR to get services from HR. So they can go in and see their service requests, they could see new HR announcements, they could get access to different HR resources such as forms and information like that. There's also the concept of a knowledge base so that there can be self-service and events. So it really is the employee-facing side of an operational portal. Now, sometimes it may not be just around an operation. It may be, like this Employee Central, is a combination of things like a central help desk, as well as other things like rooms and reservations. So operational portals are very much part of the intranet structure, but they really represent the functional part of the overall operation. Okay, the next area is digital workplace applications. Now, these are applications actually built to run in the digital workplace. And typically they're employee facing or whoever the kind of constituent is in the digital workplace. And they often include service request desks or help desks, time off, expenses, travel requests, capital equipment requests, as well as some HR things like policy acknowledgement, performance reviews, maybe even onboarding. And this is where really managers get involved with it. They're all built, again, on this platform so that you don't have the work of having individual applications, and they can interact with the different tools and capabilities of the digital workplace. In smaller organizations, we may see some manual processes that you're doing with either electronic forms or paper forms and email approval that can fit into these very well. They may link to back office systems. So for instance, with a payroll system or an accounting system that are really designed for functional staff use only and not necessarily designed for employee self-service. They may even front end some of these systems as well. And the key thing here is all of these applications to qualify as a digital workplace application are built on that common platform using the common capabilities like workflow. It uses the common user experience and is launched from operational portals. It's a natural flow of the digital workplace. And they may integrate with other services in the workplace as well, such as task tracking or calendars or that type of thing too. So workplace applications are a component, really the process part of it. So if we take a look again at the overall picture of a workplace structure and its components, you can see that it's all built on that common user platform, and it's built to integrate with each other. So for instance, you might have an HR operational portal which interacts with an HR team on a group site, and that should be seamless. So in other words, if they want to go in and share documents in the group site, they can do that. If they want to share discussions, they can go in and out of the operational portal seamlessly. The same thing goes with business applications. If they're in the HR portal and they're doing policy acknowledgement applications and managing policies and electronic acknowledgments by employees, that should also be seamless as well. So they interact and work together. So now you should have a pretty good picture of what makes up a digital workplace. So the next area here is, let's take a look at how you might actually deliver and move to a digital workplace kind of IT infrastructure using Office 365. So let's take a look at Office 365. And this may surprise a lot of people because a lot of people are only really using it for email and document management. But it is really so much more. And what's happened is Microsoft has actually done a progression of changes to Office 365, which move it from just really your office automation in the cloud to a full digital workplace platform. So if we take a look at what happened here, is really in 2012 to 13 when they first came out, they really put just email and some of the basic office automation capabilities up there. Then they really started moving to saying, hey, we really need to add collaboration as part of this cloud platform so that people can actually share information, discussions, and then finally they've moved it to a digital workplace. So we've seen this progression. What many of you may be using is really just the first phase of Office 365. And that is your email, calendars, tasks, and many of the Office applications such as Word and Excel. Then they started adding things for collaboration, Yammer, SharePoint, Planner, people in groups, and Delve as well. And then finally, in the last year or two here, they've moved to more of what we would call an ecosystem for a digital workplace. So adding components like a common dashboard or business intelligence element, Office 365 store for different tools and capabilities by third parties to fit in and built on that platform. Things like Power Apps to provide mobile and device type capabilities. And then Office 365 connectors to make it easy to connect to outside systems, web services, and information feeds. And then finally, putting it into the context of the organization through companies like us, SP Marketplace, who provide operational portals and out-of-the-box intranet structures as well, and bringing the full promise of a digital workplace and making that possible. So let's take a look at how that fits in with 365. So of course, Office 365 has a core set of functional pieces that allow it to power many different components of Office 365. So a common set of users really kind of driven through Active Directory with groups and permissions and security and governance, and common sets of data like SharePoint lists or SQL. Content, managed documents, and that through OneDrive with SharePoint in the back end, as well as content being delivered in sites. And workflow engine, they've put in some incredible collaboration capabilities with Skype for Business and putting in connectivity with connectors as well as going through transactional type things like Flow to connect to other systems. And also, as many of you know, they've also released a whole bunch of tools. And now it's really a full set of productivity tools that employees can use to do everything from keeping track of tasks and projects to doing very powerful searches through Delve, as well as seeing people information and doing things like building dashboards across different systems with feeds from both inside of Office 365 and outside systems. And then finally, they've also just announced groups. Groups is really where, think of those as sites or portals for dynamic groups such as project teams or other types of groups to share information and take advantage of some of these tools that we see below. So this is really kind of the first step in providing an access point to the different components of Office 365. Now, what we do as an organization is we take it even further. We provide the out-of-the-box intranet structure that is built on native Office 365 and takes advantage of the common user experience as well as integration with the different tools out there. And it's a place that people can work from in their department or get services from different departments as well. And we call these operational portals. And then finally, workplace applications. And some of these may be in the Office 365 App Store. Other ones, for instance, we've built for common service request desks or help desks, things like time off requests and other things like policy acknowledgments and facilities work orders and so on, are workplace applications that are built on the digital workplace platform on Office 365. Then the other thing too is they've made it so that, through the Office 365 interface app launcher, that you can go in and you can launch different applications as well as operational portals such as an intranet or HR or other types of things. And they're all designed with common user interfaces so that if you're moving from, say, an intranet to the people page showing directories and people information to Power BI to Planner, it all very much looks the same in a common user experience. So the key thing here is, whether you know it or not, it's actually mostly available today leveraging this powerful platform. And what we provide as part of this is a full operational portal kind of intranet suite. We call it the SP Workplace Suite, which is part of this that delivers that key missing piece from what Microsoft provides. And it brings the operational side of it into the digital workplace. So I hope that this part of the series has been helpful to you and really shown you how you can actually move to a digital workplace, leveraging Office 365 and using many of the technologies that are available today. In our next webinar series, part 3, we'll show you how you can evolve your IT strategy to a digital workplace. We'll talk a little bit about how you can move from your current technology infrastructure and evolve it to a new digital workplace with a common platform. We'll talk a little bit about business process support and how back office applications figure into the whole thing and how you can actually divvy up kind of what belongs in your standalone ERP systems or other systems and what could be done in the digital workplace. We'll talk a little bit about organizational impact and cultural considerations of moving to a digital workplace. And then finally, we'll cover some information about continued evolution, what's coming down the road, and where people see a digital workplace going. So visit our website at spmarketplace.com to access part 3, how to evolve to a digital workplace on Office 365. In that, we'll also be showing you some example videos of a day in the life of or what it looks like to actually be an employee using a digital workplace.